Today and Tiro, to the viewing public and to all of you here up at the legislature, members as well. I now call this fifth day, second regular session to order. Please all rise. Excuse me, sixth day. Please all rise for a moment of silence. Prayer. Thank you for that, member. And again, to clarify, it is now the sixth day, second regular session. I now recognize the clerk to please call the roll.
Representative Bada. Representative Bato.
Present.
Representative Selena Babata.
Present.
Representative Sheila Babata. Representative Joel Komatsu.
Kaya.
Representative Vicente Komatsu.
Present.
Representative Damapan.
Stiga.
Representative Flores.
Present.
Representative Guerrero.
Stiga.
Representative Lizama.
Present.
Representative Magofnia.
Present.
Representative Mangonia.
Present.
Representative Probst.
Present.
Paul Sablan.
Stiga.
Representative Nicolas.
Present.
Her notice has been given out under House Communications. We will now call for recess to present the House resolution for Representative Felicidad Ogumero. May I please have the Sarge escort the family members up to the dais here in the center, and we'll have the members seated for this presentation. Thank you.
Okay, Lesonalim. House Resolution 22-10 is hereby created to pay just tribute and commend the Honorable Felicidad Lewamal Taman Ogumero for serving more than 50 years of distinguished service to the people of the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas. Wilimam Felicidad Lewamal Taman Ogumero. Shabutul Island, Sauset, Mafaguril Hatolial. We would like to start off with her rich lineage. She descended from Aitao, a chief of the meeting house called Faltahu. In her veins flowed the blood of the royal clan called Hatolial. Her great lineage is one of the many forces behind her motivation for serving the people and making countless accomplishments along the way for more than 50 years, paving the way for females to rise up as well in society and making positive effects on families here in the CNMI. Rep. Probst.
Whereas it is the custom of this legislative body to recognize and honor those distinguished public servants and citizens who would devote themselves to public service, demonstrating great courage and diligence in providing for the care and welfare of the citizens of their communities and this great Commonwealth. And whereas within every community, there are certain individuals who, by virtue of their commitment and dedication, command the respect and admiration of their community for their exemplary contributions and service on behalf of others. And whereas the quality,
Whereas the quality and character of life in this great Commonwealth has been ably served and uniquely enriched through the selfless dedication and benevolent concern of the Honorable Felicidad Lewamal Taman Ogumero. And
Whereas the Honorable Felicidad Liwalmo Taman Ogomoro achieved so much in her personal, professional, and public life and has made and continued to make so many important strides that have had such a positive impact on families throughout the Sinamay. And whereas the Honorable Felicidad Liwalmo Taman Ogomoro has served in the government of the Trust Territory of the Pacific Island, the private sector, and our local government for over 50 years. And
whereas in 1968, the Honorable Felicidad Lemuamal Taman Ogumuro was the president of the Student Council and graduated as a valedictorian of her class from Mount Carmel High School. Whereas in pursuit of a higher education, the Honorable Felicidad Ogumuro attended St. Mary's College, a private Catholic college in Leavenworth, Kansas, and graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in sociology in 1973. And whereas while attending St. Mary's College, the Honorable Felicidad Taman Ogumuro was elected president of the International Club from 1972 to 73 and was a member of the prestigious Who's Who among students in American colleges and universities. And
whereas with the acquisition of innovative skills, knowledge, and experience, the Honorable Felicidad Lewama Taman Ogumuro returned home to serve as the Training Development Specialist of the Division of Training, Development, Department of Personnel during the Trust Territory period of the Pacific Islands from 1973 to 1977. And
whereas the Honorable Felicidad Leoma Taman Ogomoro continued to enrich her educational background by completing specialized training and professional development programs, including task analysis and job restructuring from the Manpower Institute for Development of Staff in 1974, Manpower Planning MIDS, Program Assessment MIDS, and Career Counseling /MIDS in 1975, Management Information Systems, Management Process Training, American Management Association, Executive Development Program /USDA, Graduate Program, and the Factor Ranking Benchmark Guide, Chart Job Evaluation, System Institute of Manpower Management in 1976, and Train the Trainers Conference from the American Management Association in 1977. And whereas, even with a hectic schedule, the Honorable Felicidad Lemuel Taman Ogumoro was a dynamic member of the United Carolinians Association 1973 to 1980, president of the Saipan Women's Association 1975 to 1976, and a member of the Saipan Municipal Council Scholarship Board 1976 to 1977. And whereas in 1978, the Honorable Felicidad Lewamal Taman Ogumoro became the first female of Carolinian heritage to be elected to the House of Representatives of the First Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature, representing Precinct 5 of the 3rd Senatorial District, Saipan, and where she was one of only 2 female members of the House of Representatives. And
and whereas with diligence and innate capacity to lead and instinctive ability to inspire and astute intellect, the Honorable Felicidad Ogumoro, I apologize, I cannot pronounce it, became the first woman to lead a House Standing Committee, the Health and Education Welfare Committee, and was also the vice chair of the Committee on Appropriations, a predecessor of today's Ways and Means Committee, the most powerful and prestigious committee in the House of Representatives, and
Whereas the Honorable Felicidad Leywamao Taman Ugumuro was a strong advocate for education, for family and children's welfare, women's rights, cultural preservation, and protection and guardian of our land and natural resources. And whereas the Honorable Felicidad Leywamao Taman Ugumuro's candidacy continues to progress, begun by women who achieved political first before her and help tear down barriers to the full and equal participation of women in national politics. And
whereas the Honorable Felicidad Limawa Taman Ogomoro was re-elected to serve her second term in the House of Representatives of the Second Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature in 1980, and whereas the Honorable Felicidad Limawa Taman Ogomoro continued to lead the House Standing Committee on Health and Education and Welfare and remain a member of the House Standing Committee on Appropriation and were Sanilo.
Whereas Honorable Felicidad Gomoro achieved such in her personal, professional, and public life, and has made a continuous to make so many important strides that have had such a positive impact on families throughout the Sinamay. And whereas Honorable Felicidad Gomoro has served in the government of the Trust Territory of the Pacific Island, TPT, the private sector, and our local government for over 50 years. And
Whereas in 1968, the Honorable Felicidad Liwamao Taman Ogomoro was the president of the Student Council and graduated as valedictorian of her class from Mount Carmel High School. And whereas in pursuit of a higher education, the Honorable Felicidad Liwamao Taman Ogomoro attended St. Mary's College, a private Catholic college in Leavenworth, Kansas, and graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in sociology. And in 1973,
And whereas, while attending St. Mary's College, the Honorable Felicidad Limamuel Taman Ogumuro was elected president of the International Club from 1972 to 1973 and was a member of the prestigious Who's Who among students in American colleges and universities. And
Whereas, with the acquisition, wait, what happened? Yeah, wrong page. Which one did he read? Sorry. 8, okay. Eight. Sorry, technical difficulties. Hold on. Rep Flores, which one did you?
basta na. And whereas the Honorable Felicidad Limamuel Taman Ogumuro was the author of the Constitutional Amendment 21, establishing the Office of Special Assistant for Women's Affairs, Constitutional Amendment 38, making the Northern Marianas College autonomous and guaranteeing it 1% funding, and Constitutional Amendment 38, making the public school system autonomous and guaranteeing it 15% funding,
And whereas in 1985, the Felicidad Lemwama Taman Ogumuro was recognized and awarded the recipient of the Outstanding Women of America Award, and in 2003 was the recipient of Mount Carmel's Most Distinguished Graduate Award. And
Whereas the Honorable Felicidad Leiwamal Taman Ogumuro continued to serve on numerous boards and commissions, such as board member, Sister Remedios Preschool 1988, co-founder and board member, Northern Marianas Academy 1990 to present, member, Commonwealth Zoning Board 1992, member, NMI Council for the Humanities 1992 to 2001, member, CNMI Board of Education, 1993 to 1996. Chairperson, Committee on Governmental Relations, Saipan Chamber of Commerce, 1995. Member, CNMI Indigenous Entrepreneur Incorporated, 2000 to 2006. Member, Planning Committee for the NMI Online Encyclopedia, 2002. Director, Northern Marianas College Foundation, 2002 to 2009, and a member of the Saipan Higher Education Financial Assistance Board, 2004 to 2010. And
whereas in 2010, the Honorable Felicidad Limawang Tamanagomoro was strongly urged by constituents to run for office representing the people of Precinct 3, Saipan, and whereas the Honorable Felicidad Limawang Tamanagomoro was successful and became a member of the House of Representatives in the 17th, 18th, and 19th Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature. And let's start with the last line.
Whereas the Honorable Felicidad Ogumuro became the first female vice speaker during her term in the 17th Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature.
Whereas during her 7-year tenure as a member of the House of Representatives, the Honorable Felicidad Lewamo Taban Ogumuro was a member of the Standing Ad Hoc Committee on House Rules, 17th, member of the House Standing Committee on Commerce and Federal and Foreign Affairs, 18th, and chairperson of the House Standing Committee on Health, Education, and Welfare, vice chairperson of the Ways and Means Committee, and a member of the Natural Resources and Federal and Foreign Affairs Committee of the 19th, and yeah, I did 12.
Whereas the Honorable Felicidad Lewaimao Taman Ogomoro was the author of Public Law 17-40, establishing the Northern Marianas Descent Registry, co-founder, member, Sinamay Women's Association, author of House Bill 18-34, designed to generate revenue for the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation, CHCC, and to help combat non-communicable diseases, NCDs, co-founder, member, Northern Marianas Descent Corporation, author of House Legislative Initiative 18-001, amending Article 12, decreasing minimum blood quantum requirement, author of duly adopted House Joint Resolution 18-1, requesting U.S. Congress to recognize persons of Northern Marianas descent, NMDs, ancestral rights to submerged lands, co-author Public Law
18-56, Saipan Casino Law. Author, Saipan Local Law 19-19, which also appropriated 75,000 from the exclusive gaming annual license fee for the feasible study of the Northern Marianas Cultural Center and 50,000 for the Rafalawash in the Marianas celebration. Author of Saipan Local Law 19-26 to amend Saipan Local Law 19-19 to allow appropriation without fiscal year limitation of funds appropriated for the 3rd Senatorial District via Public Law 18-56. Author of Public Law 19-78 to establish a CHCC Governing Board of Trustees. Author of Public Law 19-63 to create the Second Marianas Political Status Commission. And
And whereas, after her term in the 19th legislature, the Honorable Felicidad Lewama Taman Ogomoro took a hiatus from the political arena to spend more time with her family and to continue her charity and volunteer work. And whereas the Honorable Felicidad Lewama Taman Ogomoro recently completed 4 years serving as the program administrator for the Sinamay Women's Association, 2017 to 2021, and 3 years as first vice president of the NMI Republican Party. And
Whereas the Honorable Felicidad Leamuel Taman Ogumuro plays an active role in the following boards and associations member: Chicago Foundation from the 2010 to present, board member, treasurer, Northern Marianas Descent Corporation from 2016 to present, member, Department of Public Lands Advisory Board 2017 to present, vice president, Marianas Alliance of NGOs 2018 to present, and vice president, United Carolinian Association 2020 to present.
Whereas the Honorable Felicidad Lewamal Taman Ogumaro has been a committed and dedicated public servant and has worked tirelessly to improve the lives of women and families, not only in Precinct 3 on Saipan, whom she represented so well, but also the lives of women and families all across the Sinamay. And
Whereas the Honorable Felicidad Nuamo Taman Ugomoro is a model public servant and an example for all women, and her strength and perseverance serves as an inspiration for all people striving for positive change. And
Whereas the Honorable Felicidad Lewamal Taman Ogomoro has been involved in numerous initiatives of great importance to the Sinamay, has enriched the Sinamay political landscape and forged a new path for all women, and has served with professionalism, integrity, humility, and compassion. And whereas the legacy and contributions to the people of the Sinamay through public service by the Honorable Felicidad Lewamal Taman Ogomoro continues on through her children in their public sector work in labor, natural resource management, public safety, public health, and comprehensive long-term sustainable development planning. And whereas rare indeed is the occurrence of such a compassionate blending of strength, leadership, intellect, and commitment as that demonstrated by the Honorable Felicidad Lewamal Taman Ogomoro over a lifetime of public service, sacrifice, and dedication to others.
Whereas this legislative body recognizes that the Sinamay is home to countless women who are strong and colorful threads vital to the fabric of our rich heritage, who have contributed and continue to add to the advancement of our culture through their traditional and non-traditional roles in society. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the House of the 22nd Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature wishes to pay just tribute and to commend the Honorable Felicidad Lewalma Taman Ogumuro, upon serving more than 50 years of distinguished service to the people of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Yeah.
Be it further resolved that the Speaker of the House of Representatives shall certify and the House Clerk shall attest to the adoption of this resolution, and thereafter House Clerk shall transmit a certified copy to the Honorable Felicidad Lewamau Taman Ogomoro, the Honorable Jude U. Hofschneider, Senate President, 22nd Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature, and the Honorable Ralph D.L.G. Torres, Governor of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, the Honorable Gregorio Kilili C. Sablon, U.S. Delegate to the United States Congress.
Thank you for that. And I was also informed that we have a personal message from Representative Ogumuro herself, which will be broadcasted and played for the members. Please give us a few minutes to get it hooked up.
Buenos dias, Zantiro. Mr. Speaker and honorable members of the 22nd House of Representatives, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you so much for this recognition. I am humbled by this resolution, spearheaded by Representative Danita Yanginmay, Olamay Ngaluhlay. When I returned to serve in the legislature after a 30-year absence, my mission was two-pronged. First, I was committed to safeguard the right to govern ourselves. Collectively, we as a people know what's best for us. If we made mistakes along the way, we can and we must learn from them. I have confidence that we as a people can do it. We were doing it before World War II, before the Germans, and even before the Spanish landed on our shores. No one cares more for our community, our people, our manamko, and our children than ourselves. Number two, through the opportunity I was given by the voters of Precinct 3, I was committed to work to improve the quality of life for our people. I worked with my colleagues towards strengthening our basic infrastructures and helping to ensure that all our people had access to the basics: adequate food, clothing, shelter, and medical care, with a focus on addressing poverty in our community. I reiterate my vision that guided my work and humbly ask of you all the following: that we continue to do all we can to allow our small island nation to become a strong and sustainable Commonwealth, where the right to control our resources and destiny continues to remain in the hands of the people of these islands, and where an improved quality of life is enjoyed by all who reside here. Thank you so much, and may you all stay safe and healthy during these very trying times. God bless you.
Thank you, members. Now we'll take a group photo. Or Coda, would you like to say a few words? Okay. Okay. All right, members, come up for a group photo. When we went on recess, we were just done with roll call. We are now under public comments, and the floor is open. To receive public comments, please state your name, the entity you speak on behalf of, whether private or government. You have 3 minutes for your public comments. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you all hear me? Okay. Thank you. I am formally offering this test as a citizen of the CNMI to offer my complete support for impeachment of Governor Ralph Torres, who is viewed as the godfather of a criminal organization by the feds, and just one of the major reasons why he needs to be impeached. The evidence of the governor's guilt that has been brought to light by the JGO is more than enough to give rise to the impeachment that is proper and necessary in accordance with our Constitution. The governor got away with his crimes because he was protected by a code of loyalty and silence of the AG in the legislature and even the lieutenant governor, making this committee the people's best hope for justice. Having viewed one of the hearings and read about the others, I'm more than convinced Governor Torres has maintained a total disregard for our laws, and he has continued to break the laws and misuse our money for years. The governor has used 26 different credit cards, making personal purchases, purchasing what were illegal first-class tickets for himself and his wife. He has publicly lied to the people on more than one occasion, and he has been manipulating the federal funds and even his utility bills to his families and his loyalist benefits. Impeachment is the only option for the people of the CNMI to find immediate relief from what is clearly a form of Tourist tyranny and to achieve some justice for all the crimes this governor is being investigated for committing. It is now clear that impeachment is warranted, as the governor nor the executive assistants will testify, and there is really nothing more needed to prove him guilty, along with the desire of many citizens to see this entire fiasco come to an end. Furthermore, we the people can't depend upon our attorney general to prosecute the governor, because that should have happened long ago, especially with all the charges in the RICO investigation by the feds, which the governor still faces. The governor even tried to bribe a private citizen and a Democrat and Democrats so Angel Demopon could be the speaker in an attempt to avoid this very impeachment process. The governor has continued to be a genuine embarrassment to the CNMI with one thing after another for years, which is why he must go now. Our economic future is now on the line with the governor, who has yet to formulate any kind of plan for our economic redevelopment, nor has the government settled a deal with IPI. But that is obviously not going to live up to their contract with the people of the CNMI. The governor has been protecting and serving IPI ever since, and even giving them our community chest funds to hold that is now 57 million. We the people need to collect this money like others are doing, but the governor won't lift a finger, which is just 57 million more reasons why he needs to be impeached. If the CNMI is to have any real chance for starting new reforms to rebuild our economy, that Governor Torres helped to destroy, he must be taken out of the decision-making process with impeachment now. The governor has proven that he works more for his family, IPI, his loyalists, than he does for the people, and doesn't deserve to be our governor. In closing, I will say I don't dislike the governor, and I even feel sorry for him because he is not humble, but defiant, and doesn't want to admit he is wrong, and must be taught a tough lesson, which may even include jail once the feds are finished with him.
Can they hear us out there?
It's obvious the feds are waiting to see what we, the people,
Mr. Bennett, Mr. Bennett, your time Your time is up. If you would like, you can submit that to the Sergeant at Arms for our record for public comment.
Can I finish the one sentence?
If you have one more sentence left, then I'll let that go.
Okay. Failing to impeach the governor would really send a signal to the people of our local that our local government is not looking out for the people, and that we can no longer depend upon we can only depend upon the Fed to protect us from our high-profile politicians. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. If you'd like, you can submit that for our records. The floor is still open for public comments. You have 3 minutes. Again, state your name, the entity that you speak on behalf, whether it's for yourself, private, or public.
Hafaday, good morning. Tiro, my name is Grace Sablan Vayangae, and I stand before you as a concerned citizen and voter, indigenous person of the CNMI, and a daughter of the Marianas. Again, greetings, Speaker Villagomez, Vice Speaker Atao, Minority Leader Demapan, and honorable men and women, congressmen, men and women of the 22nd Legislature. Before I continue, I'd like to just say, again, thank you for your bravery, for your courage to sit together this morning and present a resolution of the Articles of Impeachment. For the record, if I may, I humbly ask, Speaker, you may choose to participate with a nod of your head or not. How many of us today have served under previous governors, Ines, Froilan Tenorio, Juan Nekay Babauta, Teno, Carlos Camacho, previous administrators? How many of us have served under those? With that said, I believe that prior to sitting in your official seat, you may have or you may not, or you may be affiliated with certain individuals who were governors then. My thoughts regarding these hearings and the articles of impeachment is relative to fairness and equity. I have witnessed these proceedings for a long time. Now that the articles of impeachment are before you, I am compelled to ask you, because it is fair, it is a fair question. Will you amend these articles to include previous governors and lieutenant governors who have done the same? If it's true that the Lieutenant Governor Palacios, as other lieutenant governors may have done, signed the travel authorization for Governor Torres, that he too, Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios, be held in violation for approving that TA? Or is it just Ralph De Leon Guerrero Torres? Now that these articles of impeachment are before you, will you amend it to include the removal of sitting representatives who have criminal and ethical charges against them? How is it that a sitting representative who has allegedly beat down a man in front of his special needs child and another representative who has not one but several criminal sexual conduct or related charges against him, and an individual who's alleged complicit in allowing for illegal game fighting to occur on or near private residence and allegedly managed by relatives? How is it that you are allowed to pass judgment against the sitting governor on issues of spending priorities when you yourselves have allegedly committed heinous crimes against your fellow man, and in one case against animals? This is my question of fairness and equal protection under the law. My statement concerning equity relates to those standards you are attempting to uphold, yet you don't apply the equal accountability to the same.
Miss,
Will you then report out discretionary spending of your offices?
yes.
Where are your
Miss,
receipts?
Miss
What do you
Vangay,
spend your money on?
Miss Vangay, can you please wrap it up? Thank you.
One more sentence, if I may. Thank you, and I pray that God allows our elected officials to reflect, apply discernment, fairness, equity in their deliberation. If you are above reproach, have also counted, performed at the standard of accountability. I ask you come together, heal, and let's move forward in order that we may best serve our Commonwealth. If not, cast the first stone. Be yourself, be genuine, and cast the first stone. Si Zeus maasi undang kluna. Si Zeus maasi para torhamzu. Atan mali gali mi coração mizo. Tanatod dung sti. Gai hoga. Por favor, para itauto Marianas. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Vangay. And if you'd like, you can submit that for our record. Thank you.
Duly noted, Speaker.
Thank you.
Everyone have
day.
a good day.
All right, the floor is still open for public comments. Again, please state your name, the entity you speak on behalf, whether it's yourself, a public or private organization, and you have 3 minutes.
Yes. Good morning, everybody, all the leaders in here. Yes, this is a very important session here to decide of the bill that will move forward to the Senate, for this impeachment of this governor. For me, I don't have any prepared of an amnesty speech because this is kind of just impromptu, but like everybody said, I've listened to all the evidence that you guys have been reviewing and all this process that you guys have prepared for this impeachment of this governor. All of the beans are all in the boxes that you've already pulled out and reviewed it. Okay, so like my primo said, Lieutenant Governor, you're all intelligent. All right, and I hope that this kind of intelligence is also will be at the Senate, because I'm expecting all of them to be the financial intelligence too, instead of just disregarding all the evidence, because this is about the evidence all before all of us and the people of the Marianas. So I am Fabian Indalecio, and I am of an amnesty in support of this new governor, the idiot, the jackass, and I don't give a shit. He's no longer entrusted. I understand, and I apologize. I apologize because I am a citizen out here, okay? And it's just frustration and stress. There's no new sense of respect here because he have not respect the people of the Marianas Island. And I'm speaking for the people, not just for myself, okay? So, the governor has already done deal of expenditure in the millions, no? So this is not about previous this and that. It's about the present time. So let's look at the present time and deal with the present time, not looking back. And if anything, I'll be the one to throw stone at this governor. Okay, so be mindful, everybody. And I sense that all of you guys are intelligent, and let's get to work and move on. Yeah, because I cannot know anymore. It's been a long 3 years following this governor. Yeah, and I like to just repeat the same thing what I just said, but no, that's already been, But enough is enough, like everybody said. Okay, you look at all of you guys in here, all mixed together, but it looks like you guys are all coming together to get this thing, because enough is enough. Okay, our U.S. Congressman clearly say enough is enough. Our Lieutenant Governor said enough is enough. Yeah, the people has enough and it's ready to move on and impeach this whatever.
Please wrap it up, Mr. Indalecio.
Enough. I am very angry on behalf of the people, and I'm sure they are sharing the same sentiment. Thank you very much, Fabian Indalecio here, and Jesus Masi. You know who you are in there. Make the best decision, intelligent decision. And hopefully the senator will do the same thing. They are intelligent. I don't want to insult them because Afranesi, let's just save for that until what their decision is. So let's impeach this governor because the people no longer are benefiting his liability, period.
Thank you, Mr. Indaleshu. Clerk, please take note to strike out those uh, inappropriate languages. Thank you. Floor is still open for public comments. Okay, looks like there will be no further public comments. We now move down to item number 3, the adoption of journals, and I now recognize the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 3, we have one item, fifth day, second regular session journal dated October 29, 2021.
Thank you, clerk. I now recognize the floor leader for the proper motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I now offer a motion to adopt fifth day second regular session journal, October 29, 2021. So moved.
A motion has been made by the floor leader to adopt fifth day second regular session journal dated October 29, 2021, and has been seconded. Any discussion on the floor? Ready? Okay. All those in favor to adopt the journal, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The journal is hereby adopted. Thank you, members. We now move down to item number 4, introduction of bills. And I'd like to recognize myself in formally introducing House Bill number 22-85 to amend Title I, Division 2, Part 1, Chapter 1, Article 7 of the Commonwealth Code by permitting private employers to exercise a voluntary veterans preference in employment relating to veterans relief and for other purposes, introduced by myself and several others, and is open for co-sponsorship. This bill will be referred to the Committee on FFA, Federal and Foreign Affairs. I now recognize Representative Christina Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Introducing House Bill number 2286 to amend Title I, Section 26018 of the Commonwealth Code, Amendment of Vital Records, introduced by myself and others, and welcoming co-sponsors. If I may continue, Mr. Speaker.
Before you continue, this bill will be referred to the Committee on Health and Welfare. Please proceed.
Thank you. Introducing as well House Bill number 2287 to prohibit discrimination on the basis of sex, gender identity, and sexual orientation, to be known as the CNMI Equality Act, or Aktun Atsaparehu, or Alihul Awewe Pach of 2021, introduced by myself and others, and also welcoming co-sponsors. Thank you.
Good job there, Representative Sablan. See, even Rep. Danita approves. House Bill 22-87 will be referred to the Committee on JGO. I now recognize the Vice Speaker, Representative Attal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Formally introducing to the House Bill number 22-88 to amend 1 CMC subsections 8222 through 8223 to clarify the provision of official residences for eligible elected officials, as well as implement a reasonable cap on the amount of utility charges allowed per month and for other purposes. Introduced by myself and several others, and I welcome any other member to join in the co-sponsorship. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. House Bill 22-88 will be referred to the Committee on JGO. I now recognize Representative Joseph A. Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will formally introduce House Bill number 2289 is to accept previous existing village and agricultural homestead structures existing from January 1985 to January 2000 that are encroaching on public land and for other purpose. Filed by myself and several others, and I welcome other members to. Also, formally introducing House Bill number 2290 to create a cinema road and highway regulatory signs account separate from the general fund and for other purpose. Filed by myself and several others, and also welcome other members. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Flores. Both House Bill 22-89. House Bill 22-89 will be referred to the Committee on Natural Resources, and House Bill 22-90 will be referred to both the PUTC and Ways and Means standing committees. Thank you, members. We now move down to local bills, and I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now introducing House Local Bill 22-28 to amend Saipan Local Law 22-6, Section 101A to restructure local license fee imposed on all electronic gaming device as defined in Title 6, Section 3154A, subsection 4, located within the 3rd Senatorial District, offered by myself, and I welcome other co-sponsors.
Thank you, Floor Leader. We now move down to House Legislative Initiatives. We have none. We now move down to item number 5, which is the introduction of resolutions. I now recognize Representative Angel Demapan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I'd like to introduce House Resolution number 22-13 to honor and commend the late Maya Chiara for her relentless dedication and selfless contributions to the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, and to extend our heartfelt condolences to her bereaved family on her untimely passing. This is introduced by myself, Mr. Speaker, but if there's no objections, I'd like to ask that we offer it as Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Leader Demapan. And with no objection, House Resolution 22-13 is now hereby introduced by the Committee of the Whole and will be placed on today's resolution calendar for action. Next item, I'd like to recognize Representative Selena Babalta.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Speaker, dan membro ni Sampapa na Guma, gwini gi mina 22 na House of Representative na legislatura. Encuentra gini ni Ciudadanon Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, ni ha embrarasya saipan tinian luta dan isangkatan siha na isla, especialmente Toto Precinct 1, tatkilo na onru, humidi dan onso na pribilehu para behu introduce House Resolution 22-14, impeaching Ralph De Leon Guerrero Torres, Governor of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, pursuant to Article 2, Section 8 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth for commission of felonies, corruption, and neglect of duty in violation of Article 3, Section 19 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth, pre-filed by myself and sponsored by several others. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairwoman Selena Babalta. I'd like to share with the members that I will be creating a special committee on impeachment, and we'll be appointing members. A memo will be coming out at a later date. Thank you. We now move down to House Joint Resolutions. We have none. And now down to item C under resolutions, House Commemorative Resolution. I now recognize Representative Angel Demapan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I'd like to introduce Commemorative Resolution number 22-5 to honor and commend the late Glycerio Eli Del Mundo Arago for his countless contributions to the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. This commemorative resolution is sponsored by myself and several others in the interest of the presentation date at that time. But today, Mr. Speaker, with no objection, I'd like to ask that we adopt this as Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Leader Demapan. And with no objections, House Commemorative Resolution is now hereby introduced as a whole of the committee and will be acted on today's calendar. Thank you. We now move down to House Concurrent Resolutions. We have none. We now move down to item number 6, messages from the Governor, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 6, messages from the Governor, we have Governor's Communication 2289 to Governor's Communication 2299.
Thank you, Clerk. Any discussion under messages from the Governor? We ready? Thank you, members. Under Governor's Communication 22-93, informing the House of his nomination of Mr. Oscar Patrick Kitugua to serve as a member of the PUC representing the 1st Senatorial District, I would like to refer this communication to PUTC and JGO. Members of that committee, there's a 90-day time limit on this for action, and the deadline is February 28, 2022. So please look into this communication. And also for Governor's Communication 22-94, for the same purpose, the renomination of Mr. Ramon S. Basa to serve as a member under the PUC, representing the 3rd Senatorial District. Same deadline, and referring it to both PUTC and JGO. Thank you, members. I'd like to call for a short recess. Before we went on recess, we were under governor's communications. Any more discussion on the floor under governor's communication? Ready? Okay, ready. We now move down to item number 7, Senate communications, and I now recognize the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 7, Senate Communications, we have Senate Communication 2261 through 2267.
Thank you, clerk. I would like to now recognize the floor leader for the proper motion to accept Senate communications. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'll offer a motion to accept Senate Communication 2261, 2262, 2263, 2264, and 2265. So to become the property of the House, so move.
Mr. Speaker, can we have the floor to repeat the motion, please?
Floor leader, please repeat your motion.
Can we recess?
Short recess.
Speaker, let me withdraw that offer, and I'll make a new offer. I now offer to accept Senate Communication 22-62, 22-61, 22-62, 22-63, 24-64, and 22-67. So move.
A motion has been made to accept certain listed Senate communications by the floor leader and has been seconded. Any discussions on the floor? I recognize the vice speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is regarding Senate Communication 22-66, transmitting for the House Action Senate Joint Resolution number 22-5 entitled Approving the Governor's Request to Create a New Program and Business Unit for Retirees Bonus and to reprogram $1.3 million from the General Fund for the payment of retirees' $500 bonuses. Mr. Speaker and colleagues, I would, first of all, like to extend our appreciation to the Senate for taking action on this legislation. Unfortunately, as we're all aware, any distribution of funds should begin in the House of Representatives, and failure for those actions and anything that has to do with revenues that's moving from the Senate is deemed illegal under the Constitution. It's the authority of the House of Representatives to move those funds. In addition to that, the governor's letter to the Speaker and the Senate President had reflected that the specific accounts be utilized, which is the discretionary accounts for the governor and lieutenant governor and other accounts within the Department of Finance shall be reprogrammed. Unfortunately, those documents were not provided to us. In addition to that, in the letter, it says that there will be supplanting or backfilling the accounts through ARPA funds. So we all know that under ARPA, we cannot use any of the funds to address pensions, which in this case is being viewed as pension, $500 bonus to the pensions that our retirees are receiving. This body is not against assisting the retirees. It's been very clear that this body has introduced multiple legislations in support of our retirees, i.e. 19-21, 20-28, 21-76 that never left the legislative body. So, just in the analysis, the reprogramming of funds involves the reallocation of appropriated funds from one agency or the executive branch department program and function of other subject classes to another, which already entitles that they're moving funds, they're changing the planning and the budget act of under 22-8. And so we need to address that. And the request by the governor, we do not know which programs or activities are affected in fiscal year 2022 enacted budget whose funding levels will be reduced to the level of $1.3 million. In addition, we do not know the fund status of these accounts as of the date of the governor's letter to the presiding officers of the legislature. Alternatively, the governor offered, as mentioned, to use appropriate discretionary funds of the governor and lieutenant governor, as well as funding sources from the Department of Finance. No financial information has been provided by the governor to determine the amount of money available in the discretionary funds, as well as the funding sources of the Department of Finance. We do not know the fund status of these funds as of date when the governor's request was submitted to the presiding officers of the legislature. The governor indicated to backfill these programs in the general fund that will be used for reprogramming purposes using ARPA funds. No indication from the ARPA activities as to which activities will be used to reduce from the $175 million spending plan for FY 2022, which is, I believe, Appendix 2 or B. And with that, if they were to supplant the money from ARPA, it would actually increase our general revenues an additional $1.3 million. So we would still have to amend the budget. We own anything above $200,000 or below $200,000 shall be submitted to the legislature to address the budget appropriation. So with that being said, that additional $1.3 million that will be supplanted into the Budget Act, 25% of that is obligated to go to PSS. So that would still leave the account short by 25% to address the retirees' $1.3 million. So with that being said, in the conclusion, due to the lack of financial information, Mr. Speaker and members, to make the important decision of whether or not the general fund has the ability to pay the $1.3 million on bonuses for retirees, I am requesting that we obtain the following financial information to make our assessment and decision-making easier. 1, the actual general fund collections and expenditures, including encumbrances for the 2 months ended November 30, 2021, as well as cumulative surpluses or deficits for the past months of FY 2022. Number 2, the fund status reports as of December 15, 2021 for the activities in the general fund and ARPA that will be affected by the 1.3 million reprogramming requests. And number 3, fund status report as of December 15, 2021 of the funding sources under the Department of Finance in FY 2022. And lastly, physically identify the business unit number and the name of the program or activity for which the $1.3 million worth or the retirees bonus to be accounted for FY 22, so that the actual letter will be submitted to the legislature with the exact business units that we will be removing $1.3 million to address the $500 bonuses to the retirees. In addition to that, for the record, that $1.3 million that will be supplanted back into the general fund is still short by 25% because we still need to address those monies to be heading to PSS. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, colleagues, for allowing me the time.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. Any further? Under Senate Communications. I recognize Representative John Paul Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Vice Speaker. So perhaps maybe we can ask you, Mr. Speaker, what is your course of action to proceed with this? I know there's so many concerns with regards to the Senate Joint Resolution and identifying what business units are the administration proposes to tap to provide in the amount of 1.3. Do we squash this Senate communication? What is the course of action moving forward? Thank you.
For now, I'd like to keep it on the agenda for further review. And Vice Speaker?
Thank you, Rep. JP Sablan. That's the reason why, for a conclusion, there's a list of 4 needs and requests from the administration to provide this body, so that they can identify the actual accounts that they will be taking the $1.3 million, and how will they be putting back the 1.3 million to address the shortfall of that 1.3 million going to the $500 bonuses to the retirees. Like, again, nobody here has ever voted against the support of the retirees. We as a body have introduced multiple legislations to address the needs of the retirees. So we just want the actual information so that this business unit can be created properly, and we know exactly which line item department or agencies will be losing $1.3 million and how they will be addressed with the back from through ARPA. And in addition, that we have to make sure that the 25% ceiling increases for PSS, because it'll change the ceiling numbers of the Appropriations Act of 2022. Is that clear?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Vice, for the clarity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative John Paul Sablan. I recognize Representative Tina Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to just echo the my concerns as well about which the Vice Speaker did an excellent job laying out already about this governor's request to create this new program and issue retiree bonuses. You know, unfortunately, my impression, I think a lot of us may share this impression, is that the governor made this promise to retirees for $500 for each of them for a bonus, but without actually checking to make sure that the funds were available in the first place. And, you know, we now know the American Rescue Plan Act comes with many restrictions. And one of my questions would be whether, you know, this proposal, this workaround that he's now presenting to the legislature would even be feasible. And, you know, if we can really use American Rescue Plan Act funds to backfill, as he put it, the shortfall that would be created by this reprogramming from the general fund. And again, without us even knowing what the governor would be reprogramming funds from, which accounts would be affected, it's really difficult for us and unreasonable to ask us to approve this without further information. So thank you, Mr. Vice Speaker, for laying that out. I completely agree with the additional requests for information that you've proposed, and I hope to be getting that information from the administration as soon as possible. Thank you, and I yield.
Thank you, Representative Tina Sablan. So the motion is still on the floor to accept Senate communications that was mentioned by the floor leader and has been seconded. Any further discussion? Ready? Okay. All in favor to accept Senate communications 22-61, 62, 63, 64, and 67, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Senate communications 22-65 and 66 will remain on the agenda. Senate communications 2263 and 64 will be placed on today's calendar for action. Thank you, members. We now move down to item number 8, House Communications. I recognize the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 8, House Communications, we have House Communication 22-40 through 22-58.
Thank you, clerk. Any discussions under House Communications? I recognize Representative Donald Mangonia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is in regards to House Communication 2254. I just wanted to inform the members that the committee is duly organized. And one of the recommendations that were made during the committee meeting last Friday was to include alternates in the event members shall recuse themselves for any conflict of interest. However, upon discussing with the speaker, with that recommendation, it was decided that it shall be on a case-by-case basis to also ensure that the alternates have no conflict, as well as to limit the access to any confidential information that the committee may receive. And so with that, whenever a matter has been referred to the committee, upon reviewing any conflict of interest, then we may make the recommendation to the speaker to assign any member to fill in for that member who shall be recusing themselves. And yeah, so any additional questions or concerns to the committee? I welcome your suggestions or recommendations, and so that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman Manglonia. Any other further discussions under House Communications? Recognize Representative Denita Yanktamay.
I just want to announce, because maybe you guys missed it, but we have a new member in the Cannabis Committee and the Commerce and Tourism. And Rep. Corina L. Magofnia, if you guys don't know her. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Representative Yanktamay. Any further discussions? We're ready? Okay, we now move down to item number 9, communications from the judicial branch. We have none. We now move down to item number 10, communications from the department and agencies, and I recognize the House Clerk.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. Under item 10, communications from department and agencies, we have Department and Agency Communication 2229 through 2237.
Thank you, Clerk. Any discussions under communications from department and agencies? Recognize Representative Tina Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Department Communication 2237 from the Secretary of Finance to Congressman Kilili Sablan regarding coronavirus relief funds from the CARES Act. I would note there's been some back and forth communication between the Congressional Office and the Department of Finance and Administration as to the status of these CARES Act funds, and do we or do we not have $21 million that remains unspent and that could lapse and be returned back to the federal government come December 31st. And I would note that there is another response from the Congressional Office, Miscellaneous Communication 2284, that still seeks clarification on will these funds be spent or not? Have they been spent or not? And the Secretary of Finance's letter of December 8th is really not all that clear. And I would note too that our Ways and Means Chairman, the committee, we have repeatedly asked the Secretary of Finance for the expenditure report for the CARES Act fund, not to mention all of these other federal streams of funding that are coming into the Commonwealth. But the CARES Act fund in particular, we have not seen the reports that we've been asking for. And I remain concerned, like I think many of us are, that the CNMI could be at risk of losing out on these $21 million if we don't get some clarity and confirmation from this administration as soon as possible. It's now December 20th. Have we or have we not spent these funds? It's still not clear. And I think we need that clarity again, as soon as possible. So I understand that Ways and Means is once again submitting a request to the Secretary of Finance. And I would hope that there would be some briefing for this body shortly, ideally before the holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Tina Sablan. Any further discussions? We're ready? All right, we'll now move down to item number 11, miscellaneous communications, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. Under item 11, miscellaneous communications, we have miscellaneous communication 2273 to 2284.
Thank you, clerk. Any discussions under miscellaneous communications? We're ready? Under miscellaneous communications 22-81, I'd like to refer this to the Committee on Education and Health and Welfare. This is transmitting for disposition a certified copy of Youth Congress Bill number 18-05 entitled to mandate that all PSS schools provide free of charge to students menstrual hygiene products and for other purposes. Thank you, members. Without any further discussions, we now move down to item number 12, reports on standing committee, and I'll recognize the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 12, reports of standing committees, we have two standing committee reports that is ready for action for this House. Standing Committee Report 2232 and 2233.
Thank you, clerk. I now recognize the floor leader for the proper motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I now offer a motion to adopt Standing Committee Report 22-32, reporting on House Bill 22-81, entitled to amend 4 CMC subsection 1202 to exclude local stimulus payments from taxation. Your House Committee on Ways and Means recommends that the House pass the bill in the form of House Bill number 22-81 HD1. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made to adopt Standing Committee Report 22-32 and has been seconded. Any discussion? Ready? Okay, members. All in favor to adopt Standing Committee Report 22-32, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Standing Committee Report 22-32 is hereby adopted. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And last, I now offer motion to adopt Standing Committee Report 22-33, reporting on House Bill 22-68, entitled to establish prescription drug monitoring program in the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands and for other purposes. Your House Committee on Health and Welfare recommends that the House pass House Bill 22-68 in its current form. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made by the floor leader to adopt Standing Committee Report 22-33, and it has been seconded. Any discussions on the floor? Ready? Okay. All in favor to adopt Standing Committee Report 22-33, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Standing Committee Report 22-33 is hereby adopted. Thank you, members. We now move down to item number 13, reports of special and conference committees. We have none. Item number 14, unfinished business. We have none. We now move down to item number 15, the resolution calendar, and I now recognize the floor leader for the proper motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And first, I'd like to offer a motion to adopt House Resolution number 22-13, a House resolution to honor and commend the late Maya Cara for her relentless dedication and selfless contributions to the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, and to extend our heartfelt condolences to her bereaved family and on her untimely passing. So move.
A motion has been made by the floor leader to adopt House Resolution number 22-13 and has been seconded. Any discussion on the floor? Ready? Okay, members, all in favor to adopt House Resolution number 22-13, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. House Resolution 22-13 is hereby adopted. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I now offer a motion to adopt Commemorative Resolution number 22-5, a House Commemorative Resolution to honor and commend the late Glicero Eli Del Mundo Arago for his countless contribution to the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made by the floor leader to adopt Commemorative Resolution number 22-5 and has been seconded. Any discussion on the floor? Ready? Okay, members, all in favor to adopt House Commemorative Resolution 22-5, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. House Commemorative Resolution 22-5 is hereby adopted. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I now offer a motion to adopt Senate Joint Resolution number 22-2, a Senate Joint Resolution commending the life and selfless contribution of the late Glicero Eli Del Mundo Arago, Honorary Consul of the Philippines for the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, and to pay tribute for his family, many years, of dedication and exceptional acts of distinguished service. So move.
Thank you, Floor Leader. A motion has been made to adopt Senate Joint Resolution 22-02 and has been seconded. Any discussions on the floor? Ready, clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Ada? Representative Ato?
Yes.
Representative Selena Babalta?
Again.
Representative Joel Komatsu?
Again.
Representative Vicente Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Mapan?
Again.
Representative Flores?
Yes.
Representative Guerrero?
Good.
Representative Zama?
Yes.
Representative Magoglia?
Yes.
Representative Magoglia?
Yes.
Representative Manglotnia?
Yes.
Representative Probst? Representative Christina Sablan?
Yes.
Representative John Paul Sablan?
Again.
Representative Cindy Claus?
Yes.
Representative Staffler?
Yes.
Representative Youngtamai?
Aware.
Representative Yumo?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, all 18 members present voted yes.
Thank you, clerk. With all 18 members present voting yes, Senate Joint Resolution number 22-02 is hereby adopted. Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And last resolution, I now offer a motion to adopt Senate Joint Resolution number 22-03, a Senate Joint Resolution to recognize and commend Gordon Ichihara Maciano for his significant contributions and years of selfless dedication to preserve, promote, and protect the indigenous cultures of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. So moved.
A motion has been made by the floor leader to adopt Senate Joint Resolution 22-03 and has been seconded. Any discussions on the floor? We're ready. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Ato?
Yes.
Representative Selena Babalta?
Again.
Representative Joel Komatsu?
Again.
Representative Vicente Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Mapan?
Again.
Representative Flores?
Yes.
Representative Guerrero?
Good.
Representative Zama?
Yes.
Representative Magofnia?
Yes.
Representative Manglotnia?
Yes.
Representative Probst? Representative Christina Sablan?
Yes.
Representative John Paul Sablan?
Again.
Representative Cindy Claus?
Yes.
Representative Staffler?
Yes.
Representative Youngtamai?
Aware.
Representative Yumo?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, all 18 members present voted yes.
Thank you, clerk. With all 18 members present voting yes, Senate Joint Resolution number 22-03 is hereby adopted. Thank you, members. We now move down to the bill calendar, and I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And first on our list, I offer a motion to adopt or pass House Bill number 22-68, a bill for an act to establish a prescription drug monitoring program in the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands and for other purposes. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made to pass House Bill number 22-68, and it has been seconded. Any discussions on the floor? I recognize Representative Tina Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to first express my thanks to the members of the committee and for this body for considering this bill to formally establish by law a prescription drug monitoring program for the Commonwealth. The CNMI is one of the last jurisdictions to move in this direction, and the purpose of this bill is not just to create a database of prescription histories and practices, but really to provide an effective and efficient public health tool that providers, pharmacists, dispensers, public health officials can use to ultimately improve patient safety. We worked very closely with the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation in drafting and reviewing this bill. The program, there is already a program in place at CHC. They do have funding. They are working with the Centers for Disease Control, but this takes it to the next necessary step, which is to formally establish the program by law within the administration of the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation. The bill draws on best practices and legislative models from other jurisdictions. The idea, the primary purposes of this tool is to identify potential misuses or overdose risks, as well as to monitor and report prescription practices in the Commonwealth and develop interventions, effective interventions to prevent and treat prescription drug misuse or addiction. And again, the ultimate goal is to improve patient safety. We did solicit public comments and received public comments, and we conducted several public meetings of the Health and Welfare Committee during which we reviewed the comments received and also had a chance to do question and answer and receive presentations from the Overdose Data to Action program that is currently running now at the CHC. So I would ask for your support for this legislation, and if any members have any questions, I'd be happy to address them. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Tina Sablan. Leader Demapan, did you have your hands up earlier? Okay. Floor is still open for discussion on House Bill 22-68. Any further discussions? Ready? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Atao?
Yes.
Representative Selena Babauta?
Yes.
Representative Joel Komatsu?
Hanggan.
Representative Vicente Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Demapan?
Hanggan.
Representative Flores?
Yes.
Representative Guerrero?
Hanggan.
Representative Zama?
Yes.
Representative Magofnia?
Yes.
Representative Manglonia?
Yes.
Representative Probst?
Yes.
Representative Christina Sablan?
Yes.
Representative John Paul Sablan?
Hanggan.
Representative Sonny Claus?
Yes.
Representative Staffler?
Yes.
Representative Youngtamay?
Yes.
Representative Yumo?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, all 18 members present voted yes.
Thank you, clerk. With all 18 members present voting yes, House Bill 22-68 hereby passes the House. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Next, I now offer a motion to pass House Bill number 22-81, a bill for an act to amend 4 CMC subsection 1202 to exclude local stimulus payments from taxation. So move. HD1.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made by the floor leader to pass House Bill number 22-81 in the form of House Draft 1, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Recognize Leader Demapan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I just also want to take this opportunity to thank Chairman Manglonia and the members of the Committee on Ways and Means for working on this bill and bringing it to the floor today. I also want to thank the Office of the Attorney General, the Office of the Secretary of Finance, and the Division of Revenue and Taxation for providing information to the committee to further refine the bill and to ensure that all the legal technicalities were addressed. One of them is the removal of the provision to exempt NMTIT from the taxes that are levied against the taxpayers, and because of certain restrictions that had to be removed. But at the end of the day, the true intent of the bill is to ensure that the recipients of the stimulus payments was in effect to stimulate the economy and to give our people additional resources during this time of economic hardship. There are people who filed zero taxes, and those are the people who severely would not be able to afford any form of taxation. And so with the support of the Committee on Ways and Means, and I ask for the support of the full body to pass this bill, we can ensure that our taxpayers, the citizens of the CNMI, are not burdened by an unforeseen taxation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Angel Demapan. Any further discussions? Ready? Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Atao?
Yes.
Representative Selena Babauta?
Hanggan.
Representative Joel Komatsu?
Hanggan.
Representative Vicente Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Demapan?
Hanggan.
Representative Flores?
Yes.
Representative Guerrero?
Hanggan.
Representative Zama?
Yes.
Representative Magofnia?
Yes.
Representative Manglotnia,
Yes.
Representative Probst,
Yes.
Representative Christina Sablan,
Yes.
Representative John Paul Sablan,
Hungen.
Representative Cindy Nicolas,
Yes.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Yanktamai,
Awe.
Representative Yumo,
Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, all 18 members present voted yes.
Thank you, Clerk. With all 18 members voting yes, House Bill 22-81, House Draft 1 hereby passes the House. Thank you, members. And that will be it on today's bill calendar and resolution calendar. We now move down to miscellaneous business. Members, floor is open. Recognize the Vice Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, colleagues. Just want to bring up a concern that was brought up last week and over the weekend regarding the Department of Corrections. So we all know that there's a few officers that had tested positive and some inmates that have tested positive COVID-19, and their manpower is dwindling pretty quick. They've actually got assistance from the Department of Public Safety. I believe 10 to 20 individuals or officers were sent to assist the Department of Corrections. Unfortunately, many of those individuals also caught the COVID-19 virus, so their manpower is additionally depleted again. So they're running on not even skeleton crew right now. They're really scratching the ground right now in regards to manpower. A lot of their people are able to go home for a couple hours, but have to go back to report back to the office because of the inability to service with the manpower that they have. And so, Mr. Speaker and colleagues, I think the rightful committee should look into this issue and maybe look at the opportunity if there's a financial assistance coming through the request of this body or to the speaker's office on the $500 for the retirees bonuses, that maybe we can request also additional, maybe some sort of an emergency hiring for the Department of Corrections to assist them in their situation right now. Unfortunately, we have to provide those services. They have a grant that they have to abide by, and with the shortage of manpower, I don't know if we're going to be able to even um, live up to the grant expectations because of the lack of manpower that they're facing over there. So I just would like to share that, colleagues, to each and every one of you, and especially you, Mr. Speaker, as the head of our House. Thank you again, members.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. Any further under miscellaneous business? None? I'd like to take this opportunity, since I don't foresee calling a session within this week or next week, to wish all of you and your families a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, a Happy Holidays, and may you all enjoy and stay safe, and wish you all really the very best this upcoming year 2022. And that also goes to our viewing public and our people of the Commonwealth, both living on island and abroad. Thank you. Floor is still open for miscellaneous business. Ready? Oh, I recognize Representative Yankton.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you too. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Floor is still open. All right, we'll move down to announcements. No announcements? All right, we'll now move down to adjournment, and I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And this is honestly the first session where we have the spirit of the holidays by not debating each other. So with that, I offer a motion to adjourn subject to the call of the chair. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made for the session to adjourn, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? All right, all in favor, please say aye. All opposed, stay. The ayes have it. The session's now adjourned.